wherever we go, it's not always guaranteed that we get in. So some of these programs aren't as successful as, so I would check out. But these two have been, Birthright Unplugged and the Fellowship of Reconciliation. I think they almost always manage to get in.
Thank you.
Are we going to ask you, Paul?
Yeah, with these, so with the resistance in the West Bank and these boats, I mean, this is some of the best thing going. Like one, it, you know, consolidates international opinion, but it also, in the case of the boats, it immediately changed Gaza's life for the better, even in the next week. Like the Egyptian government had to react, opening the Rafah border, and even Israel had to react by changing the thing. So, I mean, these are obviously the best things going right now. But, I mean, what are ways to highlight the role the U.S. plays? Because it's not just their, I mean, these are U.S. crimes. The complicity here is, I mean, the aid to Israel, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. I mean, this is what causes this to happen. I mean, how do you view that? Are these separate things, or how do you highlight that with these actions?
Do you want me to give it one?
We can both.
Okay.
Let me make one point.
Sure.
One thing, I mean, you can definitely do something in terms of the BDS movement. I'm not speaking for the anarchists because they have no position on this, even though we're all in support of BDS. But the boycott, divestment, and sanction movement is gaining strength, and you guys are doing amazing work here in Philadelphia. I mean, your video is brilliant that you did in that, and so congratulations on that. But that's one way to get to the root of this. But you have to keep in mind that this is profitable for America and for the international community. It's profitable in terms of the tear gas canisters that are being fired. I mean, yes, the nature of American aid to Israel is somewhat complex because there's not a direct check that's being written in all cases. It's a check that's being written to your own military manufacturer, which then creates goods that are sent to Israel and used against Palestinians. And so if you really want to affect the situation on the ground, you have to understand that it's going to affect your own economy, right? I mean, America just is sending $100 million worth of aid or military goods to Saudi Arabia. They just signed a
60 billion.
60 billion, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the military-industrial complex here, and that's what makes it so difficult to penetrate. And also in terms of information now, I mean, what's going on, as we've been both talking about, is control. It's controlling people. It's an occupation, and that understanding of control is then sold, right? So if you go to the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, the cops there are using Israeli-made tanks, and they're all educated by Israelis. Or the Beijing people, the Chinese sent a delegation before the Olympics to Tel Aviv to train. And so all of this is very, very profitable and very, very hard to penetrate. Although supporting kind of independent media and supporting the Flotilla and the anarchists and the popular struggle and all of these groups that are making a subtle change, and supporting BDS is really the ultimate. Because this is profound, and I can speak in terms of the Israeli media. People are getting scared about BDS, right? In Israel, people are very, very frightened about it, and it's becoming stronger and stronger every day. And I think that this is leading into a question as to where this is all going, what's happening with the conflict. And one similarity with apartheid South Africa is that the worst years of apartheid South Africa were the last years, and I hope that we're entering into a phase of the worst. It's going to get worse before it gets better, and Israel is moving far to the right on a political level, and BDS is strengthening. And so my answer is to support BDS.
I echo that 100%. And because BDS is a way for international civil society to make the occupation costly for Israel. Right now, it's not really costly. They get their weapons, they are funded by the United States. They're supported politically and otherwise by the international community that accepts Israel as a member of the international community without any consequences for the fact that they continue to do what they're doing in the occupied territories. So that's a way for us, international civil society, to say, as long as you're continuing to do this, we're not going to do business with you. We're not going to allow you to be a member of the international community, we're not going to, whatever, trade with you, buy your products, cooperate on academic or social or other levels. And this, this, as Joseph was saying, is starting to have an effect, and we can only make that stronger. And I think in the United States, also, as Joseph said, it is profitable, and that might seem like a big kind of thing to confront the military-industrial complex, but we can continue in our education efforts to let American citizens know that this much of their tax dollars, for example, are going to support these kinds of, this military, this kind of aggression, whereas we have, poor healthcare in the United States. A lot of our schools are in tatters. Why isn't this going, for example, for homeless? Or we need this home, not this money and this aid to go to support what is blatantly illegal, unjust, and inhumane. So I think the education can help confront when more people are aware of it and maybe outraged about it also. Most people probably don't want their tax dollars going to this. Then they contact their Congress people, let them know, and then the members of Congress can't be that easily taken or in the hands of a very strong lobby because they have suddenly their constituents that are aware and they're pressuring them in other ways. So I echo this and say that the education needs to continue also.
I want to make one small addition to that, just because people are leaving. The reason I'm here tonight, not just to see everyone's smiling face, is that the anarchists and the popular struggle are on a fundraising tour because we are put in prison all the time, and we have a legal fund that goes to Palestinians and Israelis, sometimes internationals, that are arrested or arrested related to any of these nonviolent actions, and we have about 160,000 US dollars worth of debt at this point. And also on the practical level of getting to demonstrations. We had a car, and this lovely woman, this lovely international crashed it, and so we have no car anymore. And so we're selling t-shirts and tote bags at the back. So I just wanted to make that announcement, and it's all a donation, and it's going right. If you support this type of coexistence and this type of work, you get a cool t-shirt, and it really goes far. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would just like to ask a question about some of the strategies and goals. And I don't think anybody here would disagree that, resistance in the BDS campaign is a great way to get involved. But I'd really like to know, what success, has nonviolent direct action had in concretely stopping the settlements being built, breaking the siege of Gaza, achieving Palestinian liberation? Does not the fact that nonviolent direct action has not achieved these goals, and that there's a heavy reliance on the media to achieve them as like a sub-strategy, and that it's a dead end, and that the simple fact that the IDF and Navy commandos are just about willing to shoot and bulldoze everybody, Palestinian and activists alike, doesn't that suggest that something new maybe might be needed?
Go ahead.
Well, that's a big issue, and if we make it small, look at what's going on right here. I'm an Israeli Jew. She's a